Or rather, I should ask, do you have your mic set up or you still need help to set it up? Because right now, if you were talking somewhere, then I didn't hear you. Okay, wait. Okay, I heard something, but I guess I need to buff up the Discord because you were like not so loud. Second. Okay, I guess I should be able to hear you right now.
Hello?
Oh yeah, I do. Oh, so we finally made it. Even though it's not loud, but I will just buff it up in my PC. So no problem. Anyway, I will send you an invite to the game, like the yesterday, so I'll at least be able to spectate the game. And well, for today, do you have any new questions or stuff that might appear overnight, or any reflections or such that you want to ask? So you can send them. So I will just review them in the beginning, and we'll have some more free time for spectating purposes.
No, not at the moment.
Okay, fine. So the game is still loading for me. I mean the stream, the Steam preview is still loading for me, but it will load soon. Well, so for today, like yesterday, we covered a lot of questions. So for today, the best course would be to just go on to ladder and play some other games. I will send the request, or rather, I will check the window once more because I don't know why it was interrupted, but it should load. Okay, live broadcast, please stand by. That's what I'm seeing right now. So still waiting for it to load properly. Maybe that's a Steam issue, no idea, but it was working yesterday, like we had no problem with it. Okay, it loaded for me, so that's great. So I can see your screen. And also for the decks that you're gonna ladder with. Are you gonna ladder with the Midrange Shadow that we got yesterday, or you just want to try another deck, or I don't know, any preferences?
I guess we could ladder with Haven.
Okay. So I'll just send me the deck list first. Which one you are gonna use, so then at least I can see the cards and such. The best would be to just send me a deck code, so then I will have an insight for all of the cards that are included. And as for the ladder, like for the actual game, when the game happens, how to do stuff with people would be before like turn begins, you would just tell me what cards would you keep in your hand, what would you throw, and for the turns, it would just tell me what would you do. So how would you trade, and how would you attack or evo and such, and then I will tell you if it's correct or it's not correct, and just try to explain the whole reasoning process.
Okay.
Okay, I got the deck code, so it's fine. So we can just start going to the ladder and start the game. Also, it looks like the most common version of Neutral Haven, and it's really efficient. So it's probably one of the decks that you should just use for laddering right now, especially with the chest drops that they introduce right now. So if you want to farm chests, you want to play decks that play on curve and then can just win explosively by playing some cards.
Do those chests like have? Is it a limited event?
You can only open 5 chests a day, So no matter how many matches you play, rather how many chests you see in the game, if you lose, it will not count towards the next chest. So they said you can open a maximum of 5 of them, and the event is gonna be for like around 2 weeks. So sooner or later, if you just keep playing, you will eventually get all of the goodies. So Arisa sleeves, Arisa emblem, and some of the free stuff. So gold cards and rupees. So that's it. Also the chests are random, so it's pure randomness, but when the chests appear you have to win the game, so that's what's at the stake.
Uh,
Okay, so like I said, you can just start other games. We can go and play. Okay, so around 5 more matches and you will get to the next rank. Ah, that's not much. I mean, that's not that much amount of games, so 5 only. It's fine.
I'm going to keep this at.
Okay, wait a second, because, well, with Steam, like I said yesterday, it's around 10 seconds delay, so I'll be able to see. Okay, I see the hand right now. So we can keep the entire hand. You got like 1 to 3 curve. There is nothing else you want from this deck. Like if you're able to keep a curve which assures a play for every turn, then it's probably good. With every neutral deck. Like, it doesn't have to be Haven. Like, you have 3 neutral cards and they're all playing neutral decks, so playing on curve is most important priority. Also, you're playing versus sword, so actually versus sword you also want to be a little diversified, so you want some early game answers, but you also want some blockers. But with this hand, you also got Angel of the World, which is a pinger, which also shoots 1 damage, and considering that a lot of current sword builds are ambush swords, then the Angel of the World is good. It's a really good drop in the current meta. Obviously turn 1, turn 2, there are probably no-brainers, unless other 2-drop appears. Then you can just save Feria, because Feria is one of the premium 2-drops. But if you do not get another 2-drop, then just play Feria, go face. Right now you also have increased advantage because, well, even though you're going second, you got Lions, and Lions with discounts. If you would happen to get one of the amulets, Lion turn 4 is a disaster for most of the opponents.
Okay.
Yeah, just throw an angel and kill the Lurial. There's no other play right now. Also next turn your Lion will cost 4, so more likely than not you will play Lion with something. If you don't get March Hearty Time, Lion with Biscolaria is still fine. And that's one of these rare situations where going second is actually fine, and that's the example of the deck. Because if your turn 4 with the Evo is explosive enough to take over the board, then it might just lead to victory. And that's probably what's gonna happen with the turn that you have. Okay, so with the first Lion, you should actually get a Biscolaria, just to make your board better, like bigger. And then save the Marchfire for the second Lion. Okay, but I see you played fast. Well, happens.
Because I could put Angel of the Word as well as Lion. Because it's -1.
Well, that's true that you can do it on the next turn, but if you do it, then you still have no place for board, because Biscalaria will spawn 2 units, so unless your opponent kill 2 of your units, which, well, looks like is gonna happen because of this old man on movement, so he's taking some weird cards, you would still be in a better position when you had bigger board. So then you could just evolve the tiger, for example, you would have 6-5 tiger, 5-5 lion, then your eagle, like Holy Falcon, would already attack your opponent's face, and you would dictate some tempo. Right now, it's gonna be the play like I said, so it's gonna be Angel, Lion, and Biscularia, and you should evolve your Falcon just to go for face damage. Because in current moment, you just have to raise your opponent. And also you have 1 additional spare evolve point, which you can use to counter his last evolution point. So Lion is pretty snowbally, and, well, I don't see a scenario where you can lose this game from this board. Like, Sword have no comeback mechanics, and with 9 damage right now on this turn, you're leaving him on 4 and he concedes, I see. Okay, so let's see who's gonna be our next opponent. Oh, once again versus Sword. That's interesting. But a lot of people will play Sword, or rather try to play Sword, just to farm some chests. That's gonna happen, and that's a given course of action considering the chests. So what would you do with this hand?
Is there any mulligans I should?
I mean, in this hand, and have right now, well, it's like sure, you should keep Unica and Biscalaria, because it's probably the best. Like Sector, you don't need him early game, you also don't need 2 of the 2 drops, while Biscalaria can still be used later in the game with Garuda, it can be used with Lion, so it have a lot of inherited synergy, and then on your turn 2, you can just decide how you're gonna play the match, regarding on how your opponent exit rates. So neutral sword, it's not gonna be easy, that's for sure, because, well, his curve is probably better while going first. Unless he play... yeah, he just played Wise Merman 2-0. Wise Merman, that's not good at all. Well, you have no choice on this turn. Like, you just cannot play Biscalaria because you will fall too much behind. You simply have to play Unica. He's gonna trade with her, obviously. I mean, that's what he should do. Trading is kinda obvious from this moment, so he would just trade Merman into it, but at least it will prevent your face from getting hit. And that's good enough, for at least now. well, this turn is also kind of obvious. Like, you have no other place than the Gourmet. Because Gourmet is the same purpose as Etheria and Luriel, but at least he fits your mana curve better. And you can play some of the 2-drops on the next turn, or Alice. That depends on how you see your boards are gonna be. Nonetheless, it's not looking good for you, since he's able to freely trade with the Arbitrary Attendant into the Kai'Sa, and then he's still dictating the board pace, while keeping him ahead. Also, we can consider that because he's neutral sword and you're neutral haven, then that it's kind of mirror of some sorts when it comes to the beating. And, well, you were simply on the receiving end because you were going second. This is only the ability.
Is Lariel the best option?
Yeah, Luriel and Carrot. Because with Luriel, you can simply kill 2 of the 2-1 units, and the ultimate Carrot, it will come back. So even if he kills it, then it will come back to your hand. If he doesn't, then you just have a unit on the board that you can trade. Luriel evolution, like shooting for 1, that's really coming in handy in this kind of matchup. Obviously, he got a full board, so even if you do kill 2 of his units, he's still left with 3, he's still left with his evolution point, he's still left with his 5 mana, so ultimately it won't help you too much, but it's still like trying your best to achieve something.
Will does command.
Well, you're almost dead. Being at 5 means you're just gonna die very soon. Okay, and why the Goblin Princess? So don't tell me you wanted to play it like you just played it. It would be better if you tell me what you're planning to do with your turn instead of just going like this. Because right now it looks optimal thanks to the mana cost because it's 5. But actually it would be better if you played both of your Actress Feria. And then by doing so you could just evolve Feria, and with Feria and Carrot you could trade into his Albert. Then with remaining Luriel, you could just attack into his Assassin. I mean, it doesn't matter too much, but it would just help you with the board state, because he will be forced to trade, and you would be left with stronger unit on the board.
Okay.
Because the Goblin Princess changes nothing, like, she is the same. But she also have a really good synergy with the Eagleman, so, and with the Lion, so that's something you have to consider. Obviously this game was lost. Like, there was no coming back from the point that where you had like 4 or 5 life and had 2/1/1 units that remained on the board, so any storm creature would just make you suffer and would kill you. But in any other scenario, just consider using all your evolution points on potential buffs, because later on, when you use your evolution points, like all of them, then these buffs are irrelevant. You cannot make them happen. But you can make it happen with a lot of synergies, like using evolution on cards that do not have any special effects on them is always suboptimal to using cards that have special effects. That's why Luriel is such a good card, because she gets her special effect on the evolution, even though she's a 2-drop. She's a staple in so many decks. And that's like the sole reason. for it. Okay, so still waiting for the next opponent, and we'll see what he'll get. We'll get there soon.
Should I keep this hand?
Yeah, in this scenario, you can keep everything, because, well, you're playing versus Dragon. Dragon is not known to be aggressive, and even aggressive iteration of the Dragon will not play a lot of 2-drops. You already got your 2-drop, so you got your most essential thing in the deck, and you got Lion. So, Lion and Marchhar, these are related combo pieces. And you are playing a deck that have a lot of 1-drops, a lot of 2-drops, a lot of 3-drops. So the chances are, especially when going second, because you will draw one more card than your opponent, then you will not brick. So you just need to draw something that you can play on the turn 3, something you can play on turn 4. Maybe if you had turn 1, that would be perfect, but, well, you will manage without turn 1. And obviously, Lion into Marchhar can lead to a really big board, which is great versus Dragon.
I want to play Beast Column in Aria.
It's not a good choice. Unicorn Dancer is way better at the moment, and the reason is you want to play at least 2 neutral cards before you play your Lion, so Lion will cost 5, so you can be sure that you can play him on the turn 5. The other thing is, versus Dragon, you have to start creating pressure. If you play Biscolaria, it's not gonna amount to any pressure at the moment. It also can be used with another Lion, on with Garuda, while if you play your 2-drop into 3-drop, and maybe you will top the Kalis or something, and even if you don't top the Kalis, as long as neutrals survive on the board, you got Feria. So Feria also makes use of your evolution points. And we already know that you get 3-drop, because you got Kai'Sa. So with this neutral deck, you should just try to make your opponent as uncomfortable as he is. Because if you play Unica and he plays Ramp, then you will just shoot him to the face. If you would play Biscolaria, he would just ignore it. He would just ramp freely, he would just get more time. That's not what you wanna do. So Unicorn right now, and the next turn, unless something strange happens, the Kai'Sa is gonna be the play. Then obviously we're gonna see what's gonna happen on turn 4. The other thing with Biscolaria, if you do not get anything like good at all, then you can at least play Feria and Biscolaria, because both of them cost 2, and on turn 4 you have 4 mana. But Biscolaria turn 2, that's a really good play, but in Seraph Haven, in Aegis Haven, in decks where you need these creatures to protect your board, because your deck is not based on creatures in Seraph and Aegis. Your deck is based either on amulets or on removals and surviving to the late game. While neutral, this deck like Drake Havencraft, simple as a beatdown deck. It's a mid-range one, and sometimes it's kind of tempo mid-range. So it all comes down to how it goes. That's interesting, so at least this dramatic Dragon Blader.
Yeah.
Well, on the other hand, it's not gonna help him too much. Even if he destroys the dragon, then he's left with a 5-1, so it will die to anything. And if he doesn't, then he's gonna be in pinch.
Ultimate cure and actress.
Yep. And then you can evolve actress and just attack with actress and your Kai'Sa into the dramatic Dragon Blader and just swing for 5 with the dragon into his face. Obviously, you will lose some damage points because, well, you're gonna lose Kai'Sa, but the dragon will survive, so baseline stats of the dragon are just better from the sole reason of it. And you're left with the 3-3 and the 5-5, which is fine. Obviously, do not trade his Ayala, because you don't want to give him ramp, you also don't want to give him room and such, and it's his Evo turn, so if he plays Sybil, it's not gonna be nice. But obviously you have tools to deal with Sybil. Also, your hand is looking really strong right now.
Lies Mermaid. Then Lion. Into Marcher.
Okay, let's see. So right now, you should just do the March Hard time and try to pressure your opponent as much as you can. So you can play March Hard time from your hand. I mean, you also got the Garuda, because the sole reason of the play is to make your opponent lose during the course of the 2 turns. So you don't want to use Lion and Marchfire, even though it's really tempting. This is the scenario where you just want to hit him into his face as much as possible. So we can play Marchfire T-Time, evolve it, shoot 3 into his face, then attack the Grimnir with the Tin Soldier, and attack his face for 5 with the Dragon. So that leaves your opponent at 8, and on the next turn, you are free to play Garuda, for example. So you will get another Tin Soldier. And you still have your evolution point. And obviously the Lion and the Biscalaria is also sudden damage. So even though, like I said, Lion and the Marchhar is something that would appeal to the board state and would make it really good, on the long run, you just want to burst your opponent at the moment. So it's gonna be more effective. Well, I see not only you didn't make it in time, but you also messed up. Like, I told you. I literally told you to shot 3 into his face, straight into the Grimnir, and go 5 with Dragon. And I did it, like, before. So, when you have some...
Yeah, sorry about that.
No problem. I mean, it's fine for me. But in some turns, I explained it yesterday. In some turns, there will be stuff that requires just playing, like doing an action. So, if you are unsure why the action is like that, just trust me for a little, do an action, and then ask questions. Because if you do it this way, I will still have a chance to explain, and then we will not lose the turn time. Because right now, it's like worst possible outcome. Not only you didn't deal any damage into his face, but you just wasted the turn, and that's probably gonna cost you a game. Obviously, the game is irrelevant, because the points doesn't matter at all. Like, if you win, you're still gonna reclaim your points on the long run, that's a given. But, well, that's just not good. So yeah, right now, you're gonna just use Garuda, and then evolve the Tin Soldier, shoot 3 into his face, straight into Grimnir, and 5 with Dragon to his face, so basically the same thing he would do on the previous turn. Just keep in mind that he's gonna got his evolution points replaced, so that's really not an easy thing. Oh well, you shouldn't trade Sakakel. once again, if I'm unclear, then tell me, because, well, like I said, my English is not perfect, so maybe you don't understand some things, but you should shoot 3 into his face and attack the Grimnir with Tin Soldier. You completely ignore Sahakel.
Okay.
Because the thing is, the Sahakel is irrelevant. Because even if Sahakel stays on the board, he can at best play his Dark Angel Olivia and trade 2 of your units. So it's still one of your units remain on board. And we know that with his amount of cards, one of his cards was Olivia. If he would play Bahamut, then his Sahakel would die with it. So that makes no chance whatsoever to the play, while it's still additional damage into his face. And with the Beast Colaria, it would just allow you to close the game more efficiently.
Mm-hmm.
You just don't want to miss face points. I mean, this deck, you have to go face at some points. You just have to leave some traits to your opponents, because he's gonna take them. It's not like if you don't trade, he will just go face and kill you. No, it's like, if you go face, it's up to your opponent to trade in some situations. In this situation, you had a board advantage, and there were like little to no cards that could screw you. He already played 2 Grimmirs, so yeah, I mean, not 2. That was the one that wasn't killed, but he already played 1, and not every dragon right now plays all 3 of Grimmirs. So the chance of him having Grimmir in his hand was also small. And comboing cards like Israfil, if he had Israfil, he would play it instead of Dark Angel Olivia. That's the same principle.
So is the main objective of a neutral to just go face and swarm?
Like, the main goal is to keep a board control, but when you already got your board, you just go face. So you just leave some traits to your opponent, especially in the situation where you know that where you can close the game. With Neutral Haven, especially in a situation like this, you had Lions, and you had Beast Colarias. So with both Lions and Beast Colarias, that's already like 4 damage out of hand that your opponent can only prevent with Ward Creatures, because you would be able in the long run to play both Lions and both Beast Skulls. And even if you would leave him at some points of life, you still had Angel of the Wards, you still had another Garuda in your deck. So with this deck, you try to burst your opponent when you have the chance. And the Tin Soldier is perfectly fit for the job. Garuda is also a really good tempo play. And as for swarming off the board, it's not gonna happen in every game, but most of the games you're gonna swarm the board, because your stuff have synergies. You have Eaglemans, you have Lions. These cards are simply gonna cost lower when you play more neutrals. So more neutrals you play, then the cheaper these cards get. And obviously neutral tribals are better than the normal tribals, because they are getting buffed. Like Alice buffs all of the neutrals. Alice buffs neutrality in hand, in board. Feria buffs neutrals while evolving. So the chances are, where you have more creatures and you swarm the board already, then all of your buffer creatures are gonna be better than your opponent, stat-wise. Like, ultimately in Shadowverse, you still got only 3 win conditions, so one of them is dealing damage to the face until it drops to 0. The other one would be to mill your opponent, which is probably the least used win condition, because milling your opponent is super hard without card to actually mill him, and without card to, I don't know, sustain your face and such. So milling your opponent or opponent milling you, these are the scenarios that will happen super rare, like extreme rare situations, and more likely than not on arenas, because the decks are smaller, because the decks are 30 cards on arenas instead of 50 in constructed, or rather 40, whatever. And one win condition that's left, that's Seraph, and Seraph, well, it only exists in Haven and only in Seraph builds, so these are the only 3. So obviously the most common win condition is gonna be face damage, so you just have to comply with it and either play deck that can achieve it by playing big creatures, or deck can achieve face damage with combo, so Dimension Shift and Roach, or decks that can swarm the board and just deliver the face damage on the daily basis. So for example neutral decks, which are just taking hit and every turn they are chipping your opponent's life a little. So that's the kind of deck it is.
Oh, okay. I only played Seraph and Igus.
Well, Seraph requires way different approach, because with Seraph, then, well, you only maintain your board to survive, you don't care about anything, you don't care about your opponent life, you don't care how many cards you have, you don't care what stuff you have on board, as long as you are able to remove it, play Seraph, survive a turn, and then remove counters, then you're fine. So Seraph is the most unintuitive compared to all of the mid-range decks and such. Like, all of decks that wins by face damage are straightforwardly different when it comes to playing them. Okay, once again versus Dragon. But this time you're going first, so it can go out in your favor.
Should I keep Arya?
You can keep Arya. That's the only reason you can keep Arya is that you have no other 2-drops. If you had other 2-drop, then it would be better to keep other 2-drop instead of Arya, because Arya isn't that amazing. I mean, it's still a fine card, but you are going first. So when going first and you play Arya, you will get your creatures on the turn 4, so you will not be able to evolve it, and it makes a lot of leeway for your opponent. But if you happen to brick, let's say you would mulligan Arya and do not get any other play for the turn 2, it will be way worse than Arya. So just keeping Arya is making sure that you will be able to play turn 2. If you get any other creature that costs 2 or less, so you can play 1-drop, then 2-drop, it's gonna be a play that's superior to Arya. Oh, you got Goblin. It's already a good start. Unless he plays Blazing Breath. But then, if he plays Blazing Breath, then he will at least be able to utilize his hand as going second. If he does not, then Goblin will already deal at least 1-2 damage, something like that. The other thing with Biscolaria is the fact that she doesn't lower the cost of your neutral cards, and she doesn't work, like, it doesn't work, the amulet doesn't work with the Alice. So that's a pity. Let's hope you can grow your turn 3. Great, you got it.
Alice?
Yeah, Alice is better. Alice is way better than other player could do, and also in this situation, after playing Alice, you should trade with his board, because he's the one who will get the evolution points, so he can decide how the combat will go. But if you do trades like Luriel into the Ayala and then Goblin into the Summoner, you will survive. I mean, your creatures will survive. So you will have 3 creatures on the board, and you will have 2 creatures that will appeal at the beginning of your next turn, so you will be able to do some stuff with it. And also got your Eaglemans. Like, one of them is gonna cost 3, the other one is gonna cost 4. But Eaglemans are not that important right now. Obviously, in most situations, you would not give him this additional play point. But the thing is, he ramped to 5 because he didn't ramp before. He cannot play Sibyl with ramping him. If he plays Sibyl, the Sibyl will not get additional effect. So, Sibyl is not a problem to you. And if he plays any other card that he's gonna evolve, then it's gonna be the same.
Furia. Should I trade?
Okay, so you should play your Access Feria, and the thing is, you have to trade at least with some parts of his board. So after playing Feria, you can trade like Feria into the Summoner and Holy Falcon into the Ayala, because the reason is, if you have 7 mana, then it's not so different than the 6 mana. Of course, the difference comes with the Zarakel and the Zarakel package, but leaving the 4-1 on the board simply would mean that you will be really vulnerable to Breath of the Salamander. Like, it would totally wreck you and your board, because the 4-1 would allow him to just make the trades he wants to. So, also, you can play a card on the board, and right now you should just play Biscularia. And the reason is, the Eagleman doesn't amount to too much. Your board is already, like, it consists of 4 creatures. So, oh yeah, but I see you played the Eagleman already. That's not good. Because you already had 4 creatures. And he couldn't remove all of them with single spell. Even with Breath of the Salamander, he would require playing like 2 cards. And the Biscularia would simply assure that you would be able to have something on the board. Like in this scenario, you would be still left with 1 creature on the board, which would be fine. Right now, looks like he wasn't able to find a lethal, but you got Garuda, which is great. But the Biscularia was simply something that would be better, because let's assume he would screw your board with the Breath of the Salamander, like he did right now. And if you had Blazing Breath, then you would be left with only 1 creature. While if you had Biscularia, then you would be left with 1, that's great, but I mean with only Breath. But then you could just play double of the Eaglemans. So it amounts to the same, and the Biscularia is also anti-Bahamut thingy, because after he plays Bahamut, he would have to evolve him and destroy at least one of the creatures. So it's another mechanism that can protect you and can have some results. And obviously you would have your ritual anyway, with the top deck of Garuda. If the Biscularia was on the board, then you could just activate the area and get your Falcon and such. Because every play you make should... Oh well, I was explaining it easily. Just calculate all of the outcomes and which will give you a better percentage chance of things happening. Either something happened with Steam connection, or I don't know, because right now it says it's loading. Maybe it got interrupted somehow. But nonetheless I cannot see your board right now, so... Oh well, it says to me that you ain't connected with the Steam at the moment, so I don't know what happened. Did your Steam disconnect, or should I don't know, maybe restart my client or something? Well, that would be great if you would actually answer. I don't know, maybe he got disconnected. Can't do much. Like, that's the only thing that I see on my screen. And obviously it says in Polish, but in Polish it's like waiting until next connects with Steam. So I'm waiting till I'm able to see his screen. Also he didn't answer to me when I asked, so maybe he got disconnected, like for good. Obviously that's not fine. But let's hope he's gonna make the... Oh yeah, he disconnected from the Discord too. So that was probably inherited back. Something like that. Okay, I see you got disconnected, but I can already see. Your Steam and capture.
I did see it.
I hope you can reconnect to your game, so you won't lose it for free. Oh well, looks like he lost the game for free. Or something along the lines happened. That's not good. But well, you can't do anything about it, so just start another one. Yeah, start another one, I see. It's loading, so something is not right. Something is wrong with his connection. It's not wrong on my side, at least. At least it's what Steam is telling me to.
Am I back?
Yeah, I can see your screen again. So like I said, you can just start on the ladder game. You probably lost points from the previous one, but well, you can't do much about disconnects. Sometimes they will happen. And that's it. Okay, so waiting till we find another opponent. Let's see what's gonna be. Okay, so versus Havencraft, and I see no chests yet. See, we weren't lucky enough to approach into the chests. So as for Havencraft, that's probably a mirror match. And you can keep your Unica and Alice like suggested in the mulligan. I mean, Alice is a borderline draw, so if you get unlucky, then it will break. But Alice is good, because you are going first, so that means on the turn 4 you will not get your evolution point. So Alice will be just buffing your board that remains there, and you already have a guarantee that you will have Unica. So Unica is fine, then you just have to find another neutral card. Which one? You can get into mulligan, you can get first draw, second draw, third draw, you will have plenty of them. To keep track of it, and then Alice just to buff all of them.
Is Unica fun?
Oh well, the thing right now is you shouldn't play Merman on the first turn. Like, you only play Merman on the first turn when you have Angel of the World as a follow-up. Because other than that, it's gonna be...
Oh, okay.
Because the thing is, if you play Merman and he plays Goblin, then you cannot do it. Like, you cannot do much about it. If you have Angel of the World, then you can ping the Goblin. All assuming you will play Unica and he will play his 2-drop. Then you are just basically forced to trade Unica into his 2-drop, while if you had Angel of the World, then you could attack with Merman and ping it. In this situation, at least, he didn't play anything on turn 1, so we are safe, but it's still not optimal play. Because goblins are common, and you just have to assume that your opponent is playing Neutral Haven. So this Merman, at best, will deliver something like 2, maybe 3 damage right now, and it wasn't worth the risk. But right now we can play Unica. Biscularia is not an option here. Because you have to have something to attack his 2-drop. Because if he doesn't play his 2-drop, then he's doomed. Like, you are gonna just win. Yeah, but if he plays his 2-drop, then you have to remove it somehow. And Biscularia is not gonna help you remove it. Also, the Biscularia is not a neutral card. And you want to have as much neutral card on your board as possible when you have Alice in your hand on the turn 4. So maintaining your board should be a priority in this situation.
I could only play Beastcall.
Yeah, right now we have no other choice, so you just can play Beastcall and then go into his face. The only thing you can do. Because trading the Snow White is not an option, and obviously you cannot do it efficiently. Also, it's already indicating that he's playing some sort of Ether Control-ish version, so it may be Aegis, it may be Seraph, but it doesn't indicate that he's playing neutral, because Snow White is really bad in neutral decks. So either he's playing a bad build, a suboptimal build, or he's playing something that, I don't know, will help him rethink his choices, because this Heavenly Hunt was also bad.
Alice?
Yeah, Alice right now, and then you can trade his Heavenly Hunt. Rather not trade. You will just kill it, because your Unica will survive. But you got what I mean.
Arya and Lyra.
Okay, so right now you have two choices. So one of them is Eagleman, the other is Alia and Lyrial. But in this scenario, you should just play Biscol and Lyrial and evolve your Lyrial to attack his Snow White. Obviously, it's not the best play, it's not the best evolution point spent, but we already know he got Tribunal of Good and Evil, so worst case scenario, he will just remove the counters from the Tribunal, and it will only kill Lyrial, and you have Garuda. So the Biscolaria right now is correct, because Garuda can be played on the next turn, shoot 3 into his face, and then also activate the Under area. And it's also leaving you with Under Evolution Point. The other thing is, Lyrial is also activating the discount ability of the Eagleman, and it's something that he's gonna deal with. It's also turn 5, so we will reconsider what we are gonna do on the next turn, like don't just slam Garuda, because it might be Themis Decree on the turn 6, which will be which will be terrible for your board states.
Tea time?
Yeah, Tea Time is a perfect top deck.
Pardon?
So with the Tin Soldier, what you're gonna do is shoot 3 damage into his face, and then with the Falcon, you also go into his face. Like, you don't care about the Snow White on the board. She can be there, that's not a problem. She also will be on the board only as a 2 and 2. So as a 2 and 2, it doesn't make a difference. She's 2 and 2 or she's 1 and 2, because after you attack with the Tin Soldier, she's gonna evolve and such. But you only care about that she won't be able to attack twice. And the other thing is, you just care about dealing damage into his face. So he will be at 10. So that's what you're gonna do.
Evolve.
Yeah, evolve.
Face.
Yeah, shoot into his face for free from the evolve. And attack the Snow White with the Tin Soldier. With the Falcon, you go face. So you leave him at 10. Because right now, even if he trades his Snow White into the Falcon, that's not a problem. If he uses the Themis Decree, that's also not a problem, because you get 2 amulets, and they are just ticking down. So, that's fine. You got Garuda to remove counters from something, so that's also a thing that can activate an amulet if you want to. And obviously you got your top decks, so you can top deck something that will help you a lot. But looks like that's not the case.
Garuda into
okay,
Cheeton.
No. So right now, because you got Unica, you can play Unica and Eagleman. And the thing is, it's only 33% chance that the Eagleman will be hit. If he indeed gets hit, then it's bad. But you are still leaving some things on the board. Because if you do Garuda on the Tea Time, it will have 4-5 and 4-4 on your board, which you don't want to get hit by the Tribunal, so it's 33% chance that it will hit Falcon, but 66 that it will hit something bigger. While if you play Unica and Eagleman, as long as you're lucky and it doesn't hit an Eagleman, you will still develop some board. Because Garuda doesn't have to remove counters from the amulet to shoot into something. It can just shoot free without amulet targets. So you don't need to flood your board. As long as your amulets are ticking down, it's also a thing that your opponent cannot deal with, because he doesn't have an answer for amulets, like he cannot do much. Your amulet will tick down, it will produce, the Beast Calaria will produce a Falcon, so it's gonna be another Falcon, and you just create a scenarios where he needs to prevent things that are happening with his evolution points. Obviously I say the March Card T-Time on his own is something that's gonna happen, and it's probably gonna be the end of it. But you have no influence over it, after all. Simply regain too much of a control.
I could only think of how Garuda.
Well, obviously, if you want to continue playing this game, you can do Garuda, but your opponent is 1 point of lethal. So yeah, he can achieve it in like so many ways. But obviously trying is better than not trying, so you can just play Garuda and see what's gonna happen. If he kills you, then wow, he's gonna kill you. Nonetheless. Well, I guess your opponent is thinking how to win the game. Or he's toying with you. Or maybe he got disconnected. Like, that would be the lucky one. Redemption for your disconnect. But honestly, yeah, accurate. So we can probably concentrate now. Yeah, that's the game over. Because he won't be able to win with him having 10 HP. That's not possible. Not with one card in hand, not with this kind of scenario. Well, we can just concede, like, there is no reason in playing. It's simply a waste of time. I mean, it's not like we can learn anything from playing the dead game. Because you have no chance of coming back. You have no cards in hand, like it's 0 to 6. You have no means of dealing damage to him. You have no means of overcoming his board because he's the one threatening the board. So simply conceding is like the fastest way to not waste time and just start the other one. That's also what you have to consider when greening the ladder. When the game is hopeless already, then it's better to just fast concede instead of trying to do the impossible, like in the situation like this. Because it will just save your time, and more save time means more time for games, more times for grind, and on the long run it also means more time that you can spend on playing the game. Oh, I see, you got minus 170, so you got minus 70 for this game, but you got minus 100 from the previous disconnect, and it just added up right now, like the cumulative bonus. That's why you didn't lose the points on the screen. So mystery solve.
Should I keep these?
Okay, so you're going second, So there is no reason for you to keep 2 of the 2 drops. Like, you only want to keep 1 of the 2 drops, because on the turn 3 you'd rather play a 3 drop. On the turn 1 you would rather play a 1 drop. On the turn 4 you already got Alice. So when you got your 2 drop guaranteed, then you don't want to keep cards with the same cost for the earlier turns. So you can throw out the Unicorn Dancer and just keep Feria and Alice. Because Feria can also be used, if she survives somehow, can also be used for the better evolution turn. Alice is obviously a good follow-up on the turn 4. And Unica brings nothing to the board, while Feria and her evolution point is really good.
I don't need to play Merman this turn, right?
No, you don't want to play Merman right now, especially because you are going second. I mean, right now, when you got Merman and you got Angel of the World, that's the kind of scenario that you can follow up, because you were going first. So, I don't saw the Angel of the World first, but I saw you draw it. So right now, you can totally play it. Because if you play Merman, at best, he can play his 2 drop. So, then you will follow up with your 2 drop. Oh well, and you didn't play it in the end. Well, just wait till I'll finish. Because when you got...
Sorry.
no problem. Because when you got Angel of the World, had you played Merman, on this turn, you would play Feria. So your opponent would be struck with 2 choices. One would be to attack the Merman with his 2 and 2, and the other would be to kill your 2 and 2. So if he would go for the Merman, then you would just shoot it with the Angel of the World. That's what I thought in previous game. Maybe not previous, like the game where you had Merman turn 1, 2. You want to play Merman when you have Angel of the World, because it's synergized. It's like 1 damage from Merman and 1 damage from Angel of the World. So they just have inherited values that complement each other. So Merman have this combat attack damage, while Merman got the shooting range. Right now, on the turn 3, you should play Gourmet Kai'Sa. There is no reason to play Angel, because Angel doesn't bring anything to the board.
Alice.
Rapunzel. That's interesting. But yeah, that's totally an Alice turn, and that's the turn where you should win the game straightforwardly. Like, you play Alice, you evolve Alice, kill the Rapunzel with Alice, and with your 3 and 3s, you kill Unicas on the board. And then you remain with 3 creatures, your opponent remain with 0 creatures. And because he's playing Shadow, he doesn't have enough shadows anyway to play his little Soul Squasher. So if it's not a zombie party into the Soul Squasher, then he's gonna have a really hard time coming up. Like, the zombie party and the little Soul Squasher is probably the only combination of 2 cards that could clear your board. But why did you evolve Feria? I told you, evolve Alice, kill Rapunzel, then with your 3/3s, kill the Unicas. Right now, you left your opponent with the 2 and 2 that can trade it to your Kai'Sa, and also if he have his Alice, then this 2 and 2 can actually kill the 5/3. Like, you don't care that Alice is 4/5 and that the Feria buffed creatures. You always want to have a clear board. That's the core principle with this.
Mm-hmm.
And you also used your evolution point on the minion, that like on the follower, that was already on the board. So it could attack already. Like, Alice couldn't attack in the previous turns. So on the long run, it wasn't a good play.
I could go face.
Yeah, right now you should go face, but you shouldn't use your evolution point. So just play Merman, play another Alice, and attack his face for 6 with the Alice that's on board. Because Merman will buff it for 1, and then other Alice will buff it for 1 more. So we'll be left with the 4/5, with the 3/3, and 6/6. But don't use your evolution point. So this way you will have a leeway of having 1 more evolution point than your opponent, and that's already a really good start. Right now you are still in a really good shape, thanks to the Lion and March RT time, but the game would be over like one turn ago, had you just traded his board, because he would get desperate. He would just play one creature, he could trade only one creature of your own, unless Zombie Party, or unless Zombie Party and Soul Squasher, so combination of 2 cards. That's little next to nothing, like the chance of having a combination of this happen. And if he had, then well, sometimes the bad lucks will happen, but you were able to clear his board and instead you left him with 1 creature. That's not a good choice. Like, you weren't punished this time, but it's not optimal. There will be games where you will be punished for playing like that, and you want to avoid them as much as possible.
This is fine, right?
In this situation, you can leave all of your hand. I mean, you can keep it. Because if you play Goblin on the turn 1 and he plays something on the turn 2, you can use your Merman to kill his 2-drop. So that's the situation where you can keep Merman, because you already got another 1-drop and the Goblin is fine. Also, the Goblin can contest his Goblin, for example, so let's say your opponent would also be neutral. That would be bad, but if he doesn't play anything turn 1, then you can play Goblin. And then if he plays something turn 2, you can play Merman and trade it. And then you are left with a creature like for 1 mana, he's left with nothing, and you lost only your 1 mana creature for his 2 playpoint creature. So on the long run, you will be favorite. Because you always want to make efficient trades, you want to take care of the board, and if you would throw Merman. So assuming he doesn't play anything turn 1, you play Goblin, and then he plays his 2-drop. What you gonna do? You're gonna play your Feria, because you wouldn't have Merman. But then without Angel of the World, playing a 1-drop would be bad. So consider the Merman, like the +1 buff, is the same as Angel of the World, but it requires the other creature on the board. Spiderweb Imp, so it already indicates he's some sort of vengeance.
Ethereal.
Yeah, Feria. Feria is the correct choice right now, and just pass the turn, do not attack into Imp, because if Imp does attack into the Goblin on its own, it's fine, but attacking with Goblin is not good. So just Feria on the board, and we are gonna see, is he gonna use Hungering Horde, is he gonna use Razorry Claw, or is he gonna deal with Feria in another manner, because there are a lot of possibilities that the Feria can be brought down from the board, especially for Blood. Blood have a lot of things that allows the class to easily remove some creatures. But you got both Lion and Eagleman, so you got both creatures that are gonna be cheap.
Should I buff Arya with his wife's Marsburn?
Okay, so right now, no, you should buff your Goblin, and the reason is you're just distributing your stats better. So after you buff your Goblin and attack into the Imp, because obviously you're gonna kill the Imp, you are left with 2 creatures that are 2 and 1. So you'd rather have 2 creatures that are 2 and 1 and 1/1 instead of having 2 1/1s and 1 that's a free one, because then the free one would be obviously way easier to pinpoint, while if you buff Goblin, then it's just better distribution of the statistic on the board. So we want them to be as spread as possible, so removals from your opponent are less efficient. Because if you stack all of your buffs on one creature, then obviously one removal is gonna be all it takes to deal with your board, while if you spread it into multiple creatures, it's not gonna be easy. Obviously you are playing versus Vengeance, so the one that's control, and he can easily throw a Revelation on the board right now. So Revelation would be something that could already stop your tempo, but let's hope the Revelation is not gonna happen.
Gourmet?
Yeah, Gourmet. Gourmet is fine. And also after playing Gourmet, you can play your Eagleman. Because the reason right now is that he didn't have Revelation in his hand. if he have Revelation in his hand, then, well, it's gonna be the same, like, he's gonna just clear the board. But he just used both of the removals to just clear 2 of your creatures, so you want to kill him as fast as possible, so to do this, you are also gonna evolve your Merman, just to apply some tempo. So it will just hit him harder. He's still in Vengeance because he got his amulet, you got no answer for his amulet, and if you evolve the Merman, then you will just hit him for 5 in his face, so he'll be at 11, and he will basically be forced to use Revelation. But even if he does use Revelation, you can still play your Goblin Princess with Lion, because Lion is gonna cost 0 after playing Goblin Princess, and that would mean you would just swarm the board once again. So unless he gets double Revelation, it's not gonna be easy for him. Obviously he's in Vengeance still, so with Evolution Point it will be easier, but it's his turn 5. He cannot play Emeralda, he cannot play Alucard, and the best card he can play is the Righteous Devil, like, that's the one I see he just played on the board, but that's also just for the trade purposes. He will gain 4 life, but that's it, like, that's the end of story. You can still pummel his face with a lot of stuff.
Furia, ultimate carry.
Yeah, Furia Carrot, Evil Furia, and trade into the Righteous Demon. Or Devil, or whatever. His, what's his name? Obviously you don't play Lion. You have mana to play Lion, but you keep him. Because your board is already big enough to create a pressure on your opponent, so you don't need to play Lion right now. You just wait for the amulet to appear, or you just wait for the turn where you will need the Lion, like, much more. Furia obviously is awesome, because Furia will buff your creatures, so her evolution are like +6/+6 in the moment, because +4/+4 for all of the creatures that are spread on the board, and +2 on her, obviously. Your opponent being at 5 means even if he does play another Devil, he still requires to get blood. What was it called? The 5 mana that goes for the 1 mana. Whatever.
Goblin Princess.
Just play Goblin Princess, and because he is at 5 right now, you can just play Goblin Princess, and that's it. Like, you don't play Lion still, because Lion with obviously Biscalaria and Tin Soldier is gonna be some out of hand damage. So just play Goblin Princess and that's it. Because these are still 3 creatures on the board, he needs to kill at least 2 of them. Like, he cannot only kill Goblin Princess, because then he's gonna die. Because you got Voice Verman, which will give you +1 points of damage. And let's just see. Emeralda will do the trick. Alucard will do the trick, but to some lesser extent. Disagreeable Demon, this one won't help him too much. I mean, it's still fine. It's still a creature that is blocking face, but unless he plays something else, it's not gonna be easier for him.
Should I drop everything? Except for Lion?
So, you can play Goblin King and Wise Merman and Evil Furia and kill the Disagreeable Demon with Furia. Because he's left without evolution points already, and you will also drop the Lion. So, Goblin King, Wise Merman, Lion, Furia, and evolving Furia to Disagreeable Demon. His only out at the moment is Revelation. Like, that's the only card that he can protect himself with. Because Emeralda won't do the trick when you have 2 big creatures. Emeralda won't kill Lion, and Actress Furia, I mean, well, with Emeralda he can kill either Lion or a Goblin, but Actress Furia will actually buff Goblin. So Goblin is gonna be 7/6, Lion is gonna be 5/5. It cannot be dealt with by Emeralda. And the only card that can save him is Revelation. The chances are, obviously, that he can draw a second Revelation, but it's like now or never. Either he does it or not. And if you do not play Lion, single Emeralda will take care of the board, while if you play Lion, you're putting him under the wall.
Okay.
Okay, he still have outs to draw Revelation because of the 2 cards draw. It looks like he didn't. Okay, waiting for something that I don't know what's gonna happen. So in the meantime, we'll check something in the background while he's still loading for the next battle. Okay, so around 2 or 3 more wins for the next rank. Let's see if you can grab some chests. If I recall correctly, we didn't hit any chests since the beginning.
Try mulligan everything.
Okay, wait a second, I need to see the hint. So we're going first, Haven, so you can safely assume it's a mirror, and yeah, you should mulligan entire hand. If you do not have a 2-drop, then it's pointless to continue playing with this hand, so just throw everything else and try to find a 2-drop. Also, this win will be important because you will get a chest, so let's win this one. Alright, and the hand looks really decent. I mean, you still lack a 2-drop, but it's not that bad. So because you have no 2-drop, you just play Goblin. It doesn't matter if you have Angel of the Ward or not. Also, other thing is that you have Lion, but Lion is irrelevant. But just playing Goblin, and then you hope that you will be able to draw a 2-drop. So missing a 2-drop is the most crucial thing that can happen in the game. If you hit your 2-drop, then you are able to play Kai'Sa on 3, and then the Lion will cost 4, which is super important because then you have a 4-drop. If you miss the 2-drop, then not only Lion will not cost 4, but also it would spell disaster for later game. Well, I see you were lucky, so you got your Unica. So the game is already rolling. All you need to do is draw Amulet, most likely. And looks like your opponent is going for some interesting stuff. Oh, you got March Hearty time. What a perfect one.
Wise Merman, then Lion.
Oh, if you happen to get Merman, because, well, like that, it's a 10-second delay. Wise Merman is good, but the thing is, you'd rather play Wise Merman and Carrot instead of Lion. Because Lion and Marchhar, it's a really high impact, but it's your opponent evolution turn. So you don't want to give him a lot of value on the evolve, while you want to save your value on the Tin Soldier. You don't want to lose your Tin Soldier. So Wise Merman on the Goblin, then you can trade, because you want to trade the Priestess, and ultimate Carrot on the board. Then with your Kai'Sa, you can attack his face. The other thing is, like in the game with Dragon, sometimes it's not necessary to play a Lion right away, because you just want to gain as much value as possible and to pressure your opponent. So in this scenario, it's probably better to just play Marchar unless you draw something else. just to pressure your opponent, so we'll see how it goes.
Evolve face.
Yeah, so March higher, then evolve face. I mean, hit 3 into face, then kill him with the evolved Tin Soldier and swing another 3 points into his face. So that way he will be left at 10. So you deal 6 damage right away, you are left with 1-1, 2-2, and 5-2 on the board. So that's already a decent board, and even if he does play his March higher on his own, then you are still left with at least 1 creature on your board, because with his Tin Soldier he cannot kill 3 at once, like he can only kill 2 at once. I assume he's gonna kill the Tin Soldier, nonetheless, but if he kills the Tin Soldier, then it will be really close to lethal anyway. So let's just see what's gonna happen.
How would I play this?
Okay, so in this scenario, his next turn might be Themis. The Garuda would put him, like, he would be still alive, so it's 1 of lethal with Garuda. So, because you can always do the Garuda and Marchar, like, it still remains on the board, he cannot do nothing about it. You should just attack him for free, like in his face, and play Goblin Princess. Obviously, by playing a Goblin Princess, you will sacrifice one of your goblins, like one of the goblins is not gonna appear on the board, but it's still gonna swarm the board a little, and that means that he's forced to use Themis Decree. So then you can swarm the board once again after he uses Themis Decree, but you will have much more options to do so.
No Themis.
Okay, Judge. So that probably means you won the game, because even if he evolves Judge, then you have enough damage with the Garuda and evolving the Tin Soldier. So that's game. So that's the other reason why with the previous Tin Soldier you should go face, because he still evolves his creature to deal with the previous Tin Soldier, and as a deck that's mid-rangey slash aggro or slash tempo, whatever you can call it, it's still a deck that have a clock. So your opponent playing control, he can win the game at any point of the game. He can just destroy your creatures, gain some life, then little by little he will destroy you. While when you are playing a tempo deck, it's something like I explained yesterday. You have a clock. You have a clock against you. So after the certain turns in the game pass, so let's say it's gonna go to the turn 10 and you are out of cards, your cards are not gonna mean anything. You have no inherited card draw, you have no strong creatures, because your creatures are really good in the mid game and in the early game because of their synergies. But if you are just drawing 1 card per turn, they will not amass on the board, because your opponent will either have card draw, either will have mass removal, or cards that simply make 2-for-1 trades. So in this one you should just go face, and that bring out the winning extent. Victory rewards, let's see. Oh, you get only rupees. That's not much. Oh, you get the card pack. Okay, that's fine. I don't know if you got the card pack from chest or from the quest, but whatever, you got the card back and rupees, so it's still good. Okay, so let's just play till we get to the next rank.
I guess keep. Yeah.
Yep, you can keep entire hand. Lion is kinda bricky, but you already got 2 neutral cards, and even if you do not draw Amulet, he's still a power play, especially versus Blood, where even one big creature can be enough to bring really good results after all.
Should I use Merman to decrease?
Okay, if you do draw Merman, then yes. You can play him right now because you got Angel of the World. So, yeah, he's totally fine. Because if you do not play him right now, then the next possible turn to play him would be turn 4, which is not good, obviously. So playing him turn 1 might ensure you some damage, but that's only when you have Angel. So you have Angel, you can play Merman.
Alice. And trade.
Yeah, if you happen to get Alice, then Alice and trade is perfect. Also looks like he's playing some really old school build because of the Succubus. But Alice is still fine. So Alice, Angel of the World, trade into this one, and then obviously Merman to his face. He's gonna get his Evo turn, but Big Knuckle Bodyguard is not a thing anymore. Like, it's really good that he got nerfed because Big Knuckle Bodyguard was just obscene creature. It was super toxic for the health of the game.
Let's see again.
Oh, we got another Alice. Yeah, just play Alice. And then obviously with the Alice that's currently on board, you can attack into the Imp. With the other Alice you can evolve her and kill the Urs. With the Merman you can go face. Because it doesn't matter if he goes into Vengeance or not, he doesn't care about it. Like, his build really looks like a really old one, thanks to the Succubus, so he doesn't want to be in Vengeance. Like, there are no synergy cards that would help him.
Oh.
And even if he does play something, then you have a lot of cards that you can play on your own. Oh, Revelation. That's interesting. Why would he play Revelation in deck that's assuming to be aggro? Well, whatever, then.
Angel.
Yeah.
And Eagle.
Yeah, Angel and Eagle. And even Lion. Because if you play Angel and Eagle and Lion, that simply means that he requires another Revelation. If you have it, then let him have it. Sometimes you need to gamble, because if you do just Angel and Eagle, then he will play something, evolve something, kill Eagleman, and that's gonna be it. But if you play Angel, Eagleman, and Lion, once again, it's just forcing your opponent to reconsider his choices. Or rather, get lucky and get another Revelation. Also, you're doing this because it's before turn 7. So after turn 7, he can play Emeralda. Right now, he can't play Emeralda. So, that's another reason. And he only has 4 cards, he still has 30 cards in his deck, so if he draw... Well, okay, he drew 2 of the Revelation in his first 10 cards. That's it. at the moment, but you get Mark Harsh. That's perfect. You can still win this one. Obviously you can play Marchar, evolve it 3 into his face, then with Tin Soldier destroy the Spiderweb Imp, and then play Eagleman. So let's see if it's Emeralda, if it's another revelation like third one, maybe he's super lucky. It's Emeralda actually.
Emerald.
Ah. Well, it's still not a lost game, but it's really close to being one, thanks to revelations.
Alice.
Ah, you have no other cards in hand, and you should play her. Just so you have something to train to the board, because she's just prolonging your life. Like, if you trade into her, then you will just get more turns to top deck something, and your top decks will be something like Garuda into Garuda. And Garuda into Garuda is enough to win the game. So, yeah, because you're staking it all on the top decks, you just play Alice and hope he's gonna trade into it. Because if he's not gonna trade into it, then he'll just kill you. And that's not what you want to do. You want to give yourself as much time as possible.
I think I lost.
Yeah, looks like it. So he's just playing aggro deck with 2 revelations. That's super interesting of him. Whatever. Losing to random decks happens all the time. Just gonna simply concede. Like, there is no victory scenario right now.
Should I keep?
Yeah, you can keep entire hand. I mean, Biscalaria is not great, but it's fine, because you got Merman into Biscal into Angel, so you got your curve, and even though it's not the best card for the 2-drop, it's still consisting of the full mana curve for the first 3 turns. So, yeah, you can totally keep it. Chances are you will get a better 2-drop than Arya, but let's just see how it goes.
Merman.
Yeah, you got your Angel of the Wars, so you are free to play Merman on the turn 1. And you also got Feria. That's perfect, so you got 1, 2, 3, also a Lion, so then on the turn 4 you can play Lion with Biscalaria and Evo. And this game, from this curve alone, can be really hard for your opponent to come back from, depending obviously on the answers having his hand, but it already looks good on your part. So let's see what your opponent is gonna do about it. And yeah, this is the scenario on which I was talking about. Plays Feria, you play Angel, you have 2 creatures on the board, you have only Arya, and Arya is not gonna help him. It's not gonna help him come back to the board.
Lion and Beastclaw.
Yep. Yep, Lion and Biscularia. That's obviously a good play right here. And then you should evolve Tiger. And throw it into Alice. So this way you just distribute all of the stats evenly throughout the board. So we'll have 2 and 2, 2 and 2, 2 and 1, 5 and 5, and 6 and 3. So the stats are gonna be perfectly fine throughout the entire board. And obviously your opponent is gonna be at 11 and it's his turn 5. So he cannot play Themis, but I doubt he's playing Themis anyway, thanks to the Alice. And even March Hearty Time can only remove the Lion and Tiger. And then you are still left with 6 damage, and if you evolve Feria, that's like plus 3 damage, but I see he conceded. That's fine. Yeah, winning is terrible after all. Sorry for this, but oh, it's 2 AM here, so I'm a little sleepy. So don't mind me.
I could mulligan too.
Okay, so in this hand you should only keep one of the Lyrials, like throw the row. Throw out other 2 drops. They only want one of them, so obviously just keep only one of them. And you're playing versus forest, so if it's a neutral forest, that's pretty inconready, but I don't believe it's gonna be it. It might be just a normal neutral forest, so roach neutral. The Elf Twin Assault is still gonna be terrifying, but 1-2 drop is enough. You want to find the 1 drop, a 3 drop, a 4 drop, anything that's not another 2 drop. Just playing on curve. Oh, I see you get 4 and 5. That's not perfect, obviously, but it's still 4 and 5, so you have your plenty turns.
But I play Lyria.
Okay, so right now, because you do not have your free drop, it's gonna be really hard to judge what's gonna happen, and you got both Lion and the Marchhar, so you got both of the amulets that you want to play. So in this scenario you can play Biscularia. It's also because the forest can have really nasty removals, so if you prevent him from casting Sylvan Justice turn 2, for example, just by doing Biscularia, it's something that's gonna slow him down, because most of the forest in their 2 mana slot If it's the non-neutral forest, obviously they play roaches and spells. So some of the spells are targetable one. Also, there is a Forest of Brambles or Wood of Brambles, whatever the amulet is named, and it will spawn some problems for the Lyrial. And Lyrial can still be a 3 mana 2/2, like the Kai'Sa is. So right now we can play Lyrial. And the other reason is, if you play Lyrial right now and he skipped his turn, if you play Alice on the next turn, you can immediately buff it. While had you play Lyrial turn 2, he would kill it, or he would trade into it, then the Alice wouldn't buff it. So that's like the sole reason why the play is possible. Also, Forest is really tricky to figure out which version it is until the very end, because there are so many forests and all of them are bad. Like, there is no good iteration of the forest currently.
Alice? Or
Oh, Angel and kill his fairy. Because Alice doesn't do much. If you just play Alice on the board, he's gonna play something and kill Alice. And that's gonna be it. And it's not what you want. You want to remove his board as much as possible. The thing is, most of the forest, if it's a roach version, they can burst you down. And if they chip your damage, for example, if they bring you down to 17, they will only require 2 evolution points, so they will require evolve on Elvis Princess Mage, on Fortune Hunter Fina, and then they got 17 with the roaches and Natural Guidance. So you want to prevent getting hit in your face for as much as possible. Wood of Brambles, that's interesting, but it's too slow to deal with the current situation, so. And he didn't evolve, so that's even better for you. Yeah, Marchar. Marchar is perfect right now, because with Marchar you can kill both fairies and still remain relevant on the board.
So, Evo into both?
Yeah, you should free into one of the fairies and then attack with the Tin Soldier into the other one. Because with the Angel and with the Falcon, you cannot attack into his fairies because they would just die. Like, Angel would die and Falcon would die thanks to the Wood of Brambles ability. So you don't want to lose your pressure. Like, the Tin Soldier and Tiger are the only creatures on the board that would survive it while attacking, but obviously Tiger and Tin Soldier requires Evo, and Evo of the Tin Soldier can also shoot 3 damage, so it can remove one of the fairies. So just remove both of the fairies and go for into his face with the Falcon and Angel. That's one of these rare situations where you don't go face, but you're playing versus Forest. And because you know the Forest can bring you down from 15 plus life, like, it doesn't matter if you are at 10. At 10 you are dead. At 12 you are probably dead too. So Roach can easily kill you, so you just have to be faster than that. That's the only thing that you can do against Roach. And his Will of the Forest is irrelevant right now, so you're already probably gonna win thanks to the tempo you gained. Had he evolved his fairy on the previous turn, that would be awesome, but he didn't evolve his fairy, so he's on the brink of dying right now.
Garuda.
Yeah, just play Garuda, evolve your Tin Soldier, so it's additional damage, plus 3. So it's 6 plus 4, it's 15, he's left at 1 life. So at 1 life he can barely move or do anything at all. Especially versus this board. So Garuda and Evolving Tin Soldier to put him down on 1 is like spelling a victory. Okay, so this one would put you off over the boundaries to the next rank. So let's do this. Wow, first once again. Interesting.
I don't need to mow again, right?
Yeah, in this scenario, you got your 2-drop, you got 3-drop, and you got Lion. Like, Lion is really essential in most of the scenarios. If you didn't have a 2-drop, then you would just mulligan everything to get a 2-drop. But Biscolaria can be treated as a 2-drop. It's not a perfect one. The other thing is, you are going second, so you will get one more additional draw, so you'll get 2 draws on the turn 1, then you will get +1 on turn 2. So you still have 3 cards to draw, before you play your Aria, so that means maybe you will be able to get a 2-drop, like the real 2-drop instead of Aria. So it will be like a 2-drop into 3-drop into something, then Lion and Biscolaria in a perfect world. And that's totally possible to do, and so...
No.
I guess it wasn't this one. But well, on the turn 1 it could still pass. Skipping turn 1 is not bad, skipping turn 2 would be bad. But Biscolaria can just assure that you have something. Yeah, you have to play Biscolaria. Even though it has synergy with Lion, you won't be able to play Lion early on because you have no neutral cards. So, Biscolaria is the way. And we can already see he's trying to rock the neutral one, like the neutral version. Thanks to the Unica. So his neutral forest can probably be really strong versus yours. So for example, Beauty and the Beast. Beauty and the Beast is a card that you have no way to remove. Like you have no way to beat the Beauty and the Beast. Also your board state looks pretty terrible.
Unica.
No, Angel of the World. Because right now, both Angel and Unica are the same creatures. These are the 2 and 2 vanilla bodies. This one shot from Angel, so if you ping into his face, it doesn't matter at all. If you play Unica, she doesn't matter at all. It's just a 2 and 2 body, and it's gonna be destroyed. So if you have the choice of playing the same body at the turn 3 for 3 mana and 2 mana, you obviously want to play the one that costs 3, because it's more expensive. So then, in the later stages of the game, you will have better mana curve. So you just want to play your Angel into his face, and that's it. Like, Unica is cheaper, so you can fit Unica into the future turns. For example, if you would draw another 2-drop, then you can fit Unica and 2-drop. But if you would play Unica right now, then you cannot do the same trick with Angel. So Angel is the way to go for this turn, and you should go into his face. Or rather, you can go into his creature because he's gonna heal with his Unica. So it doesn't matter anyway, because if you ping the creature, that's the creature that's gonna trade into Angel. If you ping his face, he's gonna heal with Unica. So that's a lose-lose situation, and that's why it's treated as a 2 and 2 body. Especially in this scenario. With Alice, it would still mean the creature will be there. And that's the scenario where you break. That's sad, but it happens from time to time. You still have only one way, playing Unica, evolving and killing Kalis. That's the only available play to you. You have no other. So there is no reason thinking about anything else. It just happened that you got unlucky hand. That's all.
I still have Beast Call.
Yeah, but Beast Call probably won't be enough to keep you
Yikes.
on the bird.
I was hoping to get tea time.
Yeah, tea time could actually help you a lot, but if you don't get the tea time, then it can be hard. Yeah, you got triple lions and no amulets. How sad is this? Well, if you want to continue playing this one, then the Eagleman have to be played. Then with the Eagleman, you trade into his Unica. With the 2-1, you would kill his Emperor. But the fastest way is to just concede, because even if you do so, then the chances are you're still gonna lose. He got 2 cards in his hand, he got Evolution Point, and all of his stuff is buffed, so...
Is mid-range Shadow similar to Haven in terms of objective?
So mid-range Shadow is a little bit different, because with mid-range Shadow you got other ways of securing your card advantage. In mid-range Shadow, first thing first, most of them have the sacrifices, so Demon Eaters and the 1 mana Consume Soul, I believe it was called, the card for 1 mana that sacrifice your unit and you draw 2 cards. Anyway, these are the cards that have synergies. So they have synergies with something like Attendant of Night. So first thing first, they draw your cards. Second, they activate your abilities. And as for this hand, because well, we just see this hand. You were going first, so you could discard the March Party time because it's not needed. You want Unica, you want Alice, and then you want to draw something else. Because March Hard is for too much of a late game. Like, you have no Lions, you have no assurance that you will be able to survive the early game, so you want to play something on the turn 2, turn 3. If you miss turn 3, it's gonna be really bad. But coming back to the Shadow. Shadow also have other finishers, because Shadow still have Ectars. Ectars give, or rather requires, a lot of board presence already. Some Shadows, and a lot of Shadows currently, have Deathly Tyrant. Deathly Tyrant is another thing that can feel out of nowhere. It's like 13 damage when you have Shadows. With Shadow as a class, you have another resource. So it's Shadows, and they are used for necromancy stuff. So obviously that's another gouge bar that you have to look for, and it's another resource that you have maintained throughout the game, and you have to think efficiently about it, because Little Soul Squasher, Ektar, Death's Breath in some versions, and well, a lot of random things that uses necromancy. It's like your other resource that you have to keep track of, because if you are not able to maintain them efficiently, then the deck is gonna crumble. It's not gonna be solid. While Haven simply requires just playing creatures and attacking. It's probably Neutral Haven is probably the best, like the simplest of the best decks, because it's really simple. All you have to do is play your creatures and do efficient trades, and that's really good deck to learn something. While Shadow is more advanced, so with Shadows it might bring some problems when you try it at first, but obviously the deck is also good. The other thing is, it's only like 2 weeks before the expansion hits, so all of the things I'm telling you, so all of the coaching and stuff, you should take it with a grain of salt, because it's fit for the current meta. When the meta changes, some of the play will change, so some of the more obvious plays and tricks and such will not work, because there will be new cards, and new cards obviously will provide new ways of playing. So they will provide new ways for decks, they will provide new ways for defense and such. Well of Destiny, what the heck just happened? That's interesting, but well, the play here is still to go Alice and trade his board. But maybe that's because your opponent have a really low point score. I mean, really low. He's something like 10,000 below you. So that's a difference of around 100 games. Or even more, like 100 win games. So maybe he doesn't have complete decks, maybe he doesn't have complete stuff and such. Okay, so Feria is obvious here, Evil Feria, that's a given, and then you trade his board. So to trade his board, you should go with Feria into the 3-1, with the Alice into the 2-1, then Sector into his face. So once again, this way you're distributing your stats kinda evenly, so they're on all of your creatures. And that's probably a win, because he doesn't have Revelation, and he doesn't have Vengeance, even he had Revelation, so... Medusa's Gaze, wow. But it's not gonna help him. Ah, well, just kill him and get the win. So once again, one game from advancing higher.
We're going back and forth.
Yeah, but well, you're winning more than losing. And that's how the game looks like actually. It will just go back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, and just climb little by little. Grind is not easy unless you get a lot of time. And people will grind a lot in coming days thanks to the chests. So they will try to farm chests. Oh yeah, and here is a chest that you can win, so let's make this a win. That would be really cool.
Can I keep Eagle Man?
Yeah, in this scenario you can keep Eagleman, you get 2 drop, 3 drop, and you can already see that if you play Sector and if you play Angel, then the Eagleman is gonna cost 4. So effectively, with this hand you got 2 drop, 3 drop, and 4 drop. So obviously you can keep the Eagleman. Because once again, curve is the most important thing you want to keep in mind in this deck, and it's already giving you a straight curve. You just don't want to skip a turn. And with this approach, you don't skip a turn. And you're going first. If you don't get a 1 drop, it's still gonna be fine. And well, you can even see that you get 2 drop, 3 drop, 4 drop, 5 drop. But if you skip a 4 drop or get any different one, then the Goblin Princess and Eagleman, they are completing each other. So discount is there. But your hand is really explosive. So I suppose it's not gonna be so hard of the game. Because your opponent is not doing anything at all.
Goblin. Eagle Man?
I don't see the next card still. So wait a second till I see the entire hand. Okay, so Goblin Eagleman is tempting, but not. Gourmet and Goblin. That's what you're gonna play. Because if you play Goblin and Eagleman, it's his Evo turn, so he can do some nasty stuff, while if you play Gourmet and Goblin, you are still fine, because the Eagleman is gonna cost 2. If he costs 2, then the Goblin Princess with Eagleman, that can swarm the entire board on the next turn, and that's better.
Mm-hmm.
Because every goblin from the Goblin Princess is discounting the Eagleman too. And with Eagleman costing 2, you can actually also cast Feria and Carrot and Eagleman for 0. And that would mean then you can evolve Feria, like make the best use of her and buff a lot of stuff. So let's see what your opponent has in his sleeves, because the next turn, after this one, he can activate his Biscolaria, or rather it will activate on its own, so we need a really competent board. And Priest of the Cudgel is already signalizing that the ultimate Carrot should probably be safe. So let's see how it goes. Okay, so that one is a really interesting scenario. So do not play Feria and Carrot, because right now the principle changes. So you got your Goblin Princess and the Goblins.
Oh, my bad.
Oh, you already did it. Well, the play, that's what I was explaining yesterday. Just wait, because plays change with every card you play. And in this situation, it would be better to play Goblin Princess and Eagleman, because had you do it, then there would be a chance that goblins would survive. So the next turn you had another Eagleman, and then you could evolve Feria to buff all of the goblins. Right now you cannot buff all of the goblins, so even if you play Eagleman and evolve Feria to swing into the Cudgel, which you are not gonna do, you have to play Eagleman and Eagleman into the Cudgel. You cannot evolve Feria because you cannot allow her to die right now. Let's not gonna cut it, because he will get Holy Falcon. Holy Falcon can already kill something on your board, and the Tiger will kill the biggest target. So it's just not gonna be it. I just hope you won't lose because of this. But yeah, just play Eagleman, and you have to evolve Eagleman to kill the Cudgel. Because with the Feria, sure, you would buff 2 of your creatures, but only 1 was able to attack. You wouldn't buff the Eagleman, and Feria would die. So you'd be left with a 4/5, and his Falcon would kill the other stuff of the board. If he does have another Priest of the Cudgel, then it's probably a game over, because Priest of the Cudgel in this situation is just too strong, and I see he have one. So that's probably it. Unless, I don't know, have nothing else in his hand, but it doesn't look like you can win. Obviously he also made a mistake, so while your opponent isn't a good one, he should totally exile a carrot and trade his Priest of the Cudgel so you wouldn't get shenanigans from your carrot. But that's irrelevant right now.
Evolve Eagle Man, right?
Yeah, you can evolve Eagle Man and kill the tiger. But the game is probably over right now, because he has 5 cards, he will have another card, and I assume he can cast any card out of his hand at the moment, and, well, obviously you cannot do much about the board state as it is right now. So even if you kill the tiger, he's still free to use Priest of the Cudgel to kill the Eagle Man, and then your Goblin is just attacking him for 1, your opponent is 13, you have no tempo because you have no Tin Soldiers, you had no Lions, you had no Garudas, so you have no direct damage, and for example Themis Decree will, he's like, I'm telling the plays before I see them, because I have the delay, but I see I foresaw the future once again. So we can play Marchfire and Carrot on this turn, because you lack evolution points anyway. And the Biscularia can be used with Garuda for instant synergy, if you would happen to get Garuda on the next turn. Because Goblin King is worse at the moment.
Okay. So, March here?
Yeah, Marchfire and Carrot.
Beastclaw.
No.
Okay.
Marchcore and Carrot. Because like I said, Beastcall can be used any moment you draw Garuda. So if you top the Garuda, then you can do Beastcall Garuda, and it will activate. While Carrot will come back to your hand over and over again, because your opponent wasn't good enough to deal with it. Like, he should totally get rid of the Carrot, but unless he banish it, then you can play Carrot over and over every turn. So that's like your only chance at getting resources. But once again, he got evolution points. He got 7 or 6 cards, and he got Sacred Plea taking on the board. So the chances for your win are super slim. Like, even in perfect scenario, we just got to the moment where that's happening. The thing that I was saying like half hour ago, where you play against clock. So right now you didn't win against clock, like your opponent was faster, and some plays you made didn't give you too much of a tempo. So sometimes even if you lose 1 or 2 points of damage because of a place like the play with Feria and such, it will amount to loss ultimately. And that's what's gonna happen. Like right now we can concede because you have no tempo, your opponent have 2 of the Holy Waters, so he will heal himself, and you have no comeback mechanics. Even if you play this Goblin and Alice, you can just hit his face for free, while he will just kill your Goblin, he will heal with the Holy Water, and he still got almost a full hand, and he will even overdraw 1 card on the next turn, thanks to the Sacred Plea. So this game is just impossible to win. Obviously that's the game with the chest, so that's double the pity that didn't snatch the chest, but that's how it is. I will have time for 1 more, so we can do 1 more. Unless it's gonna be super fast, so if it's super fast then it may be 2.
Should I keep it?
Yeah,
against Dragon.
yeah, you can keep it. Because even though you do not have Angel, it doesn't mean you have to place Merman on the turn 1, and the Merman obviously synergizes with all of your stuff, and you're going second, so there's a chance that you'll be able to draw Angel. So you have your curve ready, and all you're gonna do is get some more luck with the draws.
We could skip, right?
1 second, I can see what you draw. Yeah, you can skip. Because let's assume he would play the Merman, then he plays Summoner. It's not good. But if he plays Summoner and you play a 2-drop, then the 2-drop is gonna be more than enough to kill the Summoner. And you are saving yourself a Merman. Alright, this hand just got better by getting Lion, but you already had Garuda, so it doesn't change too much on the long run.
So Gourmet.
Yeah, Gourmet. Just pray that your opponent will not play Draconic Fervor. If he does play Draconic Fervor, you simply lose by him getting better draws. Because he got ramp, he was going first, so he got ramp. Right now he's having another ramp, and he had Blazing Breath. So he already comprehended, like, spent all of his mana efficiently on his turn. And versus Dragon, it will be hard with a swarming board. Like, Dragon is not easy, but sometimes you can do it. So just play Gourmet. He will trade into Gourmet. It's a given, like, that's what's gonna happen. And it will all come down to whether he got Draconic Fervor or not. Because Sybil cannot be casted right now. Like, he can cast Sybil, but he won't gain health. He will not get ramp from Sybil. So Sybil is out of the question. But Draconic Fervor, yeah, Draconic Fervor can just fuel him to such extent, then it's gonna be hard for you. But yeah, you have to keep fighting, so just play Carrot, play Goblin, and that's it. Like, don't play Mermans, because Mermans can be used for more efficient trades, and yeah, you just try to keep your cool, because your opponent will have 8 mana play, while you just did a 4 mana play. You're at 4 play points, he's at 8 on the next turn. So obviously that's not balanced. Like, if it was something else than the Fervor, then fine. But Fervor is also fueling his card bar. Dragon Oracle right now also simply recycles. So he's at 10 on the next turn, Blazing Breath. Whoa, Band Evil. So that's a slight chance for you to come back into this game.
So March.
Yeah, March, then Evo, obviously Evo face, then trade into Sybil and one to his face. So March card simply ensures that if he plays Bahamut, then you will get another 4/5, so it will force out the evolution out of him. And if he doesn't, then you get Garuda. So things can still happen. That just goes interesting. Like, he should totally either evolve or do something about the board right now, because it's not about killing the goblin, it's just about you're preventing your opponent from making good trades. Because had he evolved the Sybil, then your only way to do Sybil would be just to evolve your creature or such and attacking her. And attacking to the 6/7 monster is not gonna be easy on any creature that's not Lion. You had Lion, that's fine, but like, that's it. He's at 16. Maybe he will mess up more in this game. Like, there's a chance that he will mess up. And actually you might win. So let's just count on into it. Yeah, Israfil. Well, Israfil is one of these where you can't fail. And it's at 10-10. You have no way to deal with the 10-10. Sadly. Like, that's over. none of your creatures can kill Israfil, and Israfil is too much. She survives one turn, they are doomed. So that's unfortunate, but that's how the game with Dragon goes. Just go on roll and roll. That's something that I was explaining yesterday about the bad draws and such. Okay, anyway, as I said, I will have some other stuff to do. Like, I can continue, and it's over 2 hours anyway, right now. So,
Alright.
if you have any additional questions right now for the end, then feel free. But to ask them, like, think about them for now, and just ask me. And as for what I would recommend right now, you just have to keep playing, and you have to focus on trying to find plays that are good, but good on the long run. Because what I noticed from the plays you were making, sometimes, and something that I was also talking about, so I was talking about the one play that was good, but then the card appears, so you can draw a card. So even if you make a perfect scenario, the card that you can draw will actually change your reasoning and will change stuff that happens on board. So the best example would be the game with the play where you could play either the Goblin Princess or Feria and Carrot. So another Eagleman appeared. So that already spawned a new way of playing the turn while maintaining another turn good. Because you have to think about at least one turn ahead with all of your plays. So it doesn't matter if the turn right now, if you do the turn that's 100 perfect on this one, but then if your opponent does move X, you're gonna be doomed on the next turn. You just want to make turns that will assure that you can win the game, because it doesn't matter if you gain board control on the one turn while the opponent will maintain it on the others. You just want to be clear from beginning to the start, so if you make your turns, just always use your time to rethink how you wanna finish the game, and that goes with the Tin Soldiers. Tin Soldiers face damage is really important, it's free damage, and in some matchups it will really just come down to whether you use your free damage to hit your opponent's face or to remove something, and if you leave the trades to him or if you trade by yourself. So just use your time on your turns to think how you wanna finish the game. What are the plays, what are the creatures, what are the stuff that will allow you to end it, and how you can efficiently play every turn while using all of your mana. Same goes for the Marchhar and Lion. Sometimes it's great to use Lion into Marchhar, but sometimes it's better to just play Marchhar into Garuda, just to add more value out of it. So Lion is a really great creature, but sometimes it's not worth it to just slam down Lion as fast as possible. Because of the evolution points, because of the board control, because of the more board removals, like Themis Decree, like Revelation. And about Revelation, only if you see your opponent is control blood, like from the start, then you can play around it. But if your opponent is playing aggressive creatures and such, and it's not showcasing that he's a control blood and such, then you don't need to do it. Like, sometimes you just have to go and take the risk, and it's totally fine. But that will be it, like, for the playstyle. The things you have to realize will come with playing, so if you do not play more, then it's not gonna happen. Like, it's gonna be like, okay, so the knowledge won't come by itself, it will just come with the experience. So Shadowverse is one of these games where you just have to keep playing, and then you will realize for yourself a lot of things and how you're gonna deal with certain situations. So, do you have any questions? Or not?
No.
Okay. Then, well, feel free to sign up for the Begum if you feel like it, like for another week, because they're doing it quickly. So if you want to join like another session or maybe try fodder court or whatever, then well, I believe that Torte is still taking up a request, so he's doing it weekly. And well, still thank you for participating, and best of luck in your games. Feel free to message me on Discord with any troubles and such. If you happen, then I can still answer, even though it's gonna be end of this week.
Okay. Thanks again.
Okay. So yeah, I hope you learned something. So have a good night, and bye.
See ya.
Okay, so that would be it. Well, and the same goes to anyone who is listening on either Twitch or on Facebook. Feel free to sign up to Bagel University, where you can find a coach, or you can find a student. Be it me, be it any of the coaches that are there. Like there's, I don't know, 10, 20, 30, no idea how many of them are there. So, yeah, there's a chance that you will be assigned to someone else. Obviously, and if you want to buy coaching in any other card game, feel free to go to Gamer Sensei and order it on Gamer Sensei. So on Facebook, you probably saw the promo if you order it before, like Friday night. So just look at several hours. It's gonna be cheaper and such. If not, then it's gonna be a little more expensive. And I got everything explained in my Facebook with the promo code. Anyway, thanks for coming and see ya.